My name is Malia Dell. I grew up in Honolulu, Hawaii, and we moved around a lot while I was growing up. We moved to Chicago, Vermont, Massachusetts. Massachusetts is where I went to high school and college and spent a good amount of time. And I began working in the corporate world in Boston, and it was a very intense job, commute. I was fresh out of college, and I was struggling with how do I feed myself well now that I'm in the workforce, right? Now that I'm an adult, still working on that part. But so it was really a challenge. I started bringing my leftovers to work for lunch, and my coworkers would kind of sniff their way over to my desk and be like, what is that? That smells so good. Can I try that? Oh my gosh, you made that? How do you have time to cook all this food? And so the idea for Food That Works started by I was just kind of typing up these recipes for my coworkers and emailing them and realizing how time consuming that was. So I thought, well, if I'm going to do this, I should just make a little pamphlet for them for Christmas and bind it at Staples or something. So that's where the idea for the book started. It was really going to be this tiny little thing, and here we are almost 4 years later, and it's a 166-page published book. That this book was something that I wanted to create. I took a year off and I moved to the Mediterranean. So I left my corporate job, I left that whole scene, and I moved to southern Spain. And I lived with host families. And it was such an amazing experience. And then I spent time living in southern Turkey, which was very incredible. What an amazing country. If you ever get the chance, go to Turkey. And so with those combined experiences, I was abroad for about I was abroad for 10 months, really just marinating on the book, absorbing as much as I could from these host families, hanging out with them in their kitchen, getting ideas. So when I got home from my trip, I had my backpack and no money, and I showed up to kind of say hi to my parents and give them a kiss because I missed them. And I had all these grandiose plans, like, oh, I want to move to California, and oh, I want to do, but you know what? When I came to Rockland, I realized that this place is magical. And I knew that this was the place for me to write this book. When I got settled here, then I began writing the book. So these are all recipes that I made up, took from other recipes and modified to be a little bit healthier, a little bit of ingredient substitutions. I wanted this book to be really approachable for people because, I had no idea what I was doing, and I felt that cooking was really intimidating. And I know that a lot of people feel that way. And when it gets down to it, cooking is really just whatever tastes good to you. If you like extra this, if you put it in, it's going to taste good to you. So it's basically teaching people to be free in the kitchen and kind of test new things and try new things and see what tastes good. And if you don't like it, next time, what would you do differently? So it's all about experimenting. So this book is really a fun, funky, casual guide. There's not many rules in Food That Works. It's very fun. But what I really tried to capture was the weekly routine that we all probably go through every week when you go to the grocery store. When you show up and you're like, oh gosh, what am I gonna make? What do I want for dinner tonight? What do I already have in my fridge? All those questions that we all go through. I figured there has to be a way to capture this in between covers to make it a little easier for all of us. So that's kind of the basis of how I decided to design the book. I broke it down into 5 weeks. So there's green week, blue week, red week. You select a menu that sounds good to you. And like I said, the recipes are pretty much things that we already know and love and probably eat on a regular basis. Burgers, tacos, chili, there's salmon. So there's a good variety of things. Hopefully there's a lot of things that you know and love, your classics, but then maybe there's some new things that you haven't tried yet. That's kind of the glory of cooking for yourself, is you can have it however you like it and make it exactly the way that you want it. And when I realized that when I started cooking, I was like, this is great, I don't have to settle for meals out that I'm always just kind of like, that's not how I like it, but I already paid $15 for it, so I guess I'm eating it. Instead you kind of take the power back into your own kitchen and cook things and enjoy them the way that you like it. Thank you so much for coming here tonight. I really appreciate the support.